So I don't often like using equations in my explanations because math really scares a bunch of people. I try to do most of my science content as like an explain it like I'm five sort of way, you know? But we've gone back and forth a bit about how relativity plays into time dilation and how going faster than light would be time travel and how that's not possible. You can't go faster than light and so on and so forth. And I actually do think it would be easiest to just show you the equation. This, let me get out of the way, is the equation for time dilation. You could see here t is the rest time, and t dash is essentially the change in time that you experience. V is your velocity. Now let's go over the stuff I said in the Explain It Like I'm 5 videos, alright? The first thing, you cannot travel the speed of light if you have mass. You can actually show this mathematically, because if V equaled c, you'd get 1 minus 1, and then you'd be dividing by 0. And we don't like it when we divide by 0. But furthermore, something that would be traveling faster than light, like the supposed tachyon, right, would experience a negative time dilation, i.e. traveling back in time. Because if v is greater than c, then v squared over c squared is going to be greater than 1, this whole term is going to end up being negative. And then really the problem you have is that this ends up being an imaginary number. Again, it's something that we don't like. But then if you do a little squaring of the terms, t dash squared would end up being negative. And I hear you going, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. And yes, that's the point. Faster than light travel makes no sense. That is what relativity teaches us. Those equations work. They describe our universe. And when you plug in numbers for the speed of light or greater, you get this is why the tachyon is only theoretical and likely doesn't exist. This is why nothing with mass can accelerate to light speed, and nothing can accelerate past light speed. At that point, the laws of physics literally break down. But again, I try to make these videos for the mathiverse. So when I say something like, all things are just particles interacting, if you move faster than light, you can interact with light that is further and further back in time, because if you move faster, you get to something sooner. But the stuff that happened has already happened, so you can't ever go into the past. Therefore, the fastest you can travel is the speed that photons travel, because if you traveled any faster, you would be encountering photons from further back in time. And again, I'm trying to explain that just in a visualization sort of way, like as if the photons were signs that you were like encountering on a road you were driving down. But with some people, the math just works better. You can see a whole bunch of mathematical problems when you try to make v squared equal to c squared or v squared greater than c squared. That they're just problems then. And then physics don't work. We don't like when physics doesn't work.